Admiral Park stood alone on the observation deck of Earth's largest orbital station. His weathered face remained calm as he watched the approaching Valoran ship. The vessel moved with grace, its blue-silver hull catching the light of distant stars. To Park, Valoran ships always looked like they belonged to the deep oceans of Earth rather than the vastness of space. He checked his uniform one last time. This meeting was important. Earth's alliance with the Valorans was still young, just 12 years since first contact. Both species had found comfort in each other, humans with their adaptability and resource-rich planet, Valorans with their advanced technology and gentle wisdom. "Admiral," a voice called from behind him. Park turned to see Ambassador Kim walking toward him. Her normally confident stride seemed hesitant today. "Ambassador," he nodded in greeting. "Is everything prepared for the delegation?" Kim glanced at the approaching ship. "Yes, but I've received troubling news. The Valorans are frightened, Admiral. The Council representatives have been making threats again, more direct ones this time." Park's expression darkened. The Galactic Council, a governing body of 12 elder species who had ruled known space for millennia, had made their disapproval of the Earth-Valoran alliance clear from the beginning. "The Council has never accepted our alliance," Park said, his voice low. "They see the Valorans as knave for trusting us, and us as upstarts for daring to reach the stars without their permission." "That's putting it mildly," Kim replied. "According to my sources, several council members are pushing for sanctions against both our worlds." The ship docked with a soft hum of magnetic couplings. From the airlock emerged 3 Valorans, tall, slender beings with pale blue skin and large, expressive eyes. Their movement was fluid, almost like dancing. Park and Kim stepped forward to greet them. The lead Valoran, Ambassador Lee, bowed deeply in the human manner. His skin patterns, intricate lines that all Valorans were born with, glowed faintly with anxiety. "Welcome back to Earth Station Unity," Park said warmly. "We hope your journey was peaceful." "The journey itself was without incident," Lee answered, his voice musical but strained. "But our hearts are troubled. The council meeting approaches, and we fear what may come of it." Kim guided them toward the conference room. "We have 2 hours before we need to depart for the council station. Let's use this time to align our approach." Inside the conference room, Earth's security systems activated, creating a field that prevented any listening devices from functioning. Only then did the Valorans truly relax. "Tell us everything," Park said, taking a seat at the round table. Ambassador Lee touched a small device on his wrist. A holographic display appeared above the table, showing dozens of ships, Council military vessels, moving through sectors near Valoran space. "They claim these are routine exercises," Lee explained, "but we have never seen such a concentration of warships in this region before." The youngest Valoran delegate, Science Minister No, spoke next. "There's more. 3 of our research outposts near the border have reported unusual scan patterns. Someone is mapping our defense grids." Park exchanged concerned glances with Kim. This was escalating faster than they had anticipated. "Why now?" Kim wondered aloud. "Our alliance has existed for years without direct interference." The third Valoran, Defense Coordinator Du, answered, "We believe it relates to our recent technological breakthroughs. The quantum communication network we've been building with Earth would make both our worlds independent of Council-controlled communication relays." "Independence is exactly what they fear," Park muttered. "Control of information flow has always been one of their greatest powers." The meeting continued as they discussed strategies and contingencies. Earth had been secretly building up its defenses, incorporating Valoran technology while developing unique approaches the Council wouldn't expect. The Valorans, for their part, had been sharing knowledge that the Council had deemed too advanced for humanity. 6 hours later, they stood in the grand meeting hall of the Council station. The circular chamber rose 50 meters high, with seats arranged in ascending rings. At the center stood a speaker's platform where delegations could present their case. The council members looked down from the highest tier, 12 different species, all ancient by human standards. Some had been spacefaring when humans were still learning to use fire. Ambassador Lee stepped onto the platform, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. Honorable Council, we come seeking only what every sentient species deserves, recognition of our sovereignty and our right to choose our allies. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The council speaker, a towering Drakari with scaled skin and eyes like burning coals, leaned forward. The Valoran petition is noted, the speaker said, voice rumbling through the hall. But your species is too young to understand galactic politics. This alliance endangers stability. For 50,000 years, we have maintained order through careful management of technological exchange and species interaction. Park stepped forward to join Lee. With respect, Earth did not ask for council permission to form this alliance. We are not council members, nor did we agree to your oversight. The speaker's scales darkened with anger. Your arrogance is precisely why humans were quarantined for so long. You were deemed too aggressive, too unpredictable. The Valorans should have respected that judgment. The debate grew heated. Other species representatives joined in, most supporting the council's position. Only 2 voices spoke in favor of Earth and Valoran. After 3 hours, the council called for recess. As the delegation filed out, Councillor Han, an Aldarian known for moderate views, brushed past Park. Without breaking stride or making eye contact, he whispered, "Prepare yourselves. Some in the council are planning something terrible. The Drakari faction has convinced others that your alliance must be broken by any means necessary." Before Park could respond, Han had moved away, disappearing into the crowd of delegates. That night, as the Earth Valoran delegation prepared to return home, Park stood at the viewport of their shuttle, looking out at the stars. Ambassador Kim joined him, her face grave. "We need to accelerate our defense preparations," Park said quietly. "I don't think we have as much time as we thought." "I've already sent the coded message to Earth Command," Kim replied. "Let's hope it's enough." Neither said what they were both thinking, that the peace they had known might soon be coming to an end. Commander Choi had fallen asleep at her desk again. Reports from the border outposts had kept her working late into the night. Earth's defense systems had been on high alert since the tense council meeting 3 weeks ago. The harsh beeping of the emergency channel jolted her awake. She blinked away exhaustion as she hit the receive button. The time display read 300 Earth Standard Time. A projection flickered to life above her desk. The image showed Valoran Defense Minister Song. Choi barely recognized him. His normally perfect appearance was now disheveled. His pale blue skin was smudged with dark marks. Smoke filled the background, and distant sounds of explosions could be heard. "Minister Song, what's happening?" Choi asked, immediately alert. Song's large eyes reflected terror. "They came without warning," he gasped. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Council warships. They somehow bypassed our defenses. They're targeting civilian centers. Millions already dead." Choi stood up so quickly her chair crashed to the floor. "Hold on," she urged, already activating the base-wide alert system. "We're mobilizing now. Can you evacuate?" The transmission suddenly cut off as a massive explosion rocked the Valoran command center. The last image Choi saw was Song being thrown forward by the blast. "No," she shouted at the empty projection space. Within minutes, Earth's military leadership was connected through secure channels. Admiral Park's grim face appeared on the main screen. "We just received emergency signals from multiple Valoran colonies," Park reported. "The attack is happening everywhere simultaneously. This is a coordinated strike by Council forces. How did they get past the early warning systems?" General Moon demanded. "Unknown, but we suspect they use technology that hides their approach," Choi answered. "The Valorans warned us the Council had been developing stealth capabilities beyond anything we've seen." "What are our options?" asked President Kang, who had joined the emergency call from the underground command center. Park's eyes were cold with determination. "The 7th Fleet is closest to Valoran space. I've already ordered them to prepare for rescue operations, but they won't arrive for at least 30 hours. By then it might be too late, Choi said quietly. For the next 3 days, Earth's military tried desperately to contact any surviving Valoran forces. All official channels remained silent. Scattered emergency signals from civilian outposts painted a horrifying picture. Council warships had struck simultaneously across the entire Valoran home system, targeting population centers first. On the 3rd day, Earth's long-range sensors detected a small ship entering the outer solar system. It was moving slowly, its engines clearly damaged. Valoran design, Captain Ba confirmed, studying the readings from her rescue vessel. But it's not responding to hails. Approach with caution, came the order from command. Could be a trap. Ba's ship moved alongside the damaged Valoran vessel. Scans showed life signs, but they were weak. We're going to attempt a boarding operation, they reported. Something's wrong with their communication system. Ba led the rescue team herself. They cut through the sealed airlock and entered the Valoran ship. The interior was dark, emergency lighting casting eerie blue shadows. The air was thin. Life support was failing. Hello, Ba called out, her voice echoing in the silent ship. This is Captain Ba of Earth Defense Force. We're here to help. A soft sound came from the ship's central chamber. The rescue team moved forward carefully. When they reached the main deck, they stopped in shock. 27 Valorans huddled together in the chamber. Many were injured. Some appeared to be children. All showed signs of trauma and exhaustion. One Valoran stepped forward on shaky legs. Ba recognized him as Ju, a young scientist who had visited Earth the previous year. Captain, he said, his voice barely audible. You came. We're here to help, Ba assured him, motioning her medical team forward. What happened? Ju's large eyes filled with tears. They destroyed everything. Everyone. His hands clutched a small case against his chest. Our homeworld, our colonies, all gone. The entire species. One of Ba's officers asked in horror. Not all, Ju said. There are other ships like ours, if they escaped in time. But millions, billions, gone. The medical team worked quickly to stabilize the survivors. Ba stayed with Ju, who refused to let go of the case he carried. What's in there? She asked gently. Ju looked down at the case. Evidence, he whispered. I worked in the Central Archives. When the attack began, I took what I could. He opened the case with trembling hands. Inside were data drives, hundreds of them, each no bigger than Ba's thumbnail. They had been watching us for years, Ju explained. Planning this, I found their communications, intercepted by our intelligence services, but not understood until too late. Ba helped Ju to a seat as the rescue ship prepared to take them back to Earth. The young Valoran's body shook with emotion. They called it necessary pruning, Ju said, his voice hollow with shock. Like we were weeds to be removed from their garden. They planned this for years, waiting for the right moment. Why? Ba asked, though she feared she already knew the answer. Our alliance with Earth, Ju confirmed. They feared what we might become together. They feared humans most of all. Your adaptability, your determination. In their meetings, they called you the species that would not submit. As the rescue ship pulled away, Ba looked back at the damaged Valoran vessel. It would be taken in tow, brought to Earth for study. But its people, the 27 survivors of what had once been a civilization of billions, would never see their home again. Captain, her communications officer called. Admiral Park is requesting an immediate report. Ba took a deep breath. Tell him we have survivors and evidence of Council war crimes. And tell him, she paused, looking at the exhausted Valorans being tended to by her medical team. Tell him to prepare Earth for war. In the medical bay, Ju stared out at the stars as they began to streak past the viewport. They believe they've eliminated us, he said quietly to Ba when she joined him. They don't understand that they've only ensured their own destruction. How so? Bai asked. Because now Earth will fight without restraint, Zhu replied. And the Council has never faced humanity's fury. The Grand Hall of the United Earth Assembly fell silent as President Moon stepped onto the central platform. 300 representatives from every nation on Earth waited for her words. The massive screens behind her showed images of the Valoran homeworld, once beautiful with its crystal cities and blue forests, now burning under Council bombardment. 7 days ago, President Moon began, her voice strong despite having barely slept since the attack. Our allies and friends suffered an unprovoked attack. The Valorans welcomed us to the stars when the Council would have quarantined us. They shared knowledge freely when others would have kept us ignorant. Now they're being systematically exterminated. Humanity will not stand by. The hall remained silent. The shock of the massacre had united Earth's often divided factions. The 27 survivors we've taken in represent the last confirmed Valorans in existence, Moon continued. Though we hope others escaped, we must act as though their entire civilization now rests in our hands. I am hereby declaring a state of war against the Galactic Council. The declaration was met not with cheers but with solemn nods. This was not a moment for celebration. Ambassador Kim stepped forward next. The survivors have shared critical intelligence about Council military capabilities. Their attack was overwhelming, but not because their technology is superior. They simply had numbers and the element of surprise. General Kang moved to the center of the platform. The elderly woman had led Earth's defense forces for 15 years, overseeing the quiet buildup of humanity's military strength. For a decade, Kang said as she activated a control panel, "We've been developing technologies based on principles the Council doesn't understand." A holographic display appeared, showing ships unlike any currently in Earth's known fleet. Their designs were sleek, almost predatory. "The Council believes our ships are primitive," Kang continued. "They're wrong." The hologram changed to show technical schematics. Most in the audience couldn't understand the details, but the implications were clear. Earth had been preparing for this moment. While publicly building ships that matched Council expectations, we've secretly constructed a fleet utilizing hybrid human-Valoran technology. We've taken different approaches to problems the Council considers solved. The ships are ready for deployment. They can be fully armed and crewed within 72 hours. How do these match against Council vessels? Asked the representative from Africa. In simulation, one of our new destroyers can engage 3 Council heavy cruisers with favorable outcomes, Kang replied. But our true advantage lies in their underestimation of our capabilities. The Assembly voted unanimously to commit all resources to the war effort. Within hours, factories worldwide shifted to military production. Reserves were called up, and volunteers flooded recruitment centers. In the massive orbital shipyards above Earth, Colonel Yu moved through the controlled chaos of final preparations. Workers swarmed over the hulls of ships that until days ago had been hidden in asteroid bases and underwater construction facilities. These vessels have been Earth's best-kept secret. "Colonel, we've finished installing the modified drive cores on the destroyer group," reported a technician. "They're achieving 150% of projected output." Yu nodded. "Good. What about the shield modulation systems? That's where we're hitting a problem. The frequencies keep slipping out of alignment." "I can help with that," came a quiet voice. Yoon turned to see Gil, a Valoran engineer who had been one of the 27 survivors. Though still recovering from his injuries, he had insisted on joining the war preparations. "Are you sure you're up for this?" Yoon asked, concerned by the Valoran's still weak appearance. Gil straightened his slender body. "My entire family died in the first wave of attacks. This is where I need to be." Together they moved to the technical station, where the shield problem was occurring. Gil studied the readouts, his long fingers moving across the controls with surprising speed. "You're approaching this from a fixed-state perspective," Jill explained. "Council shields operate on predictable frequency bands, because they've never needed to do otherwise. Their shield configurations have never accounted for quantum displacement attacks. They don't think it's possible. And is it possible? Hume asked. Gil's sad eyes showed a flash of something like satisfaction. The Council restricted certain research they deemed destabilizing. My team continued it anyway. With your primitive, forgive me, unconventional approach to quantum mechanics, we can create something they've never seen. Hume smiled grimly. They're about to learn otherwise. Over the next 3 days, the shipyards transformed. Gil worked with human engineers to implement his designs. The shield modifications were completed, along with weapons systems that operated on principles the Council had never explored. Admiral Park arrived to oversee the final preparations. He found Hume and Gil in the command center of what would be the flagship of Earth's fleet. Give me the status report, Park ordered. The fleet will be ready in 16 hours, Hume reported. All systems are functioning above specifications. Crews are completing final training simulations. Park nodded, turning to Gil. And the intelligence integration. Gil activated a holographic display showing the known territory of the Council. Red markers indicated military bases and fleet positions. We've identified their primary command centers and fleet staging areas, Jill explained. Their pattern of attack against my world reveals their standard military doctrine. They believe in overwhelming force applied to critical targets, so they'll expect us to defend, not attack, Park observed. Precisely, Jill confirmed. The Council has never faced a counteroffensive in over 3,000 years. Their home systems are virtually undefended because no one has ever dared strike at them. Park studied the map. We will. Later that night, as the fleet neared readiness, Hume found Gil alone in an observation bay, looking out at Earth. It's beautiful, Jill said quietly, like Valor was. Hume stood beside him in respectful silence before speaking. We'll make them pay for what they did. Gil shook his head slowly. Payment implies a transaction. What the Council did cannot be paid for, but it can be answered. He turned to Hume with determination in his eyes. Tomorrow, humanity will deliver that answer. The next morning, Earth's secret fleet assembled in orbit. 47 warships, each representing technology the Council believed impossible. 16,000 crew members, each trained for this moment. President Moon's voice came through on all channels. Remember why we fight. Not for vengeance alone, but for justice. The Council sought to exterminate a peaceful species because they feared what we might become together. Show them they were right to be afraid. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the flagship, renamed Valoran's memory. All ships prepare for simultaneous jump. Our targets are the Council's primary military installations. They believe themselves safe in their core systems. We will show them nowhere is beyond our reach. The fleet vanished from Earth orbit in a flash of light. Humanity's answer to genocide now on its way to those who had ordered it. The massive space station, known as Starpoint Nexus, hung in space like a metal spider at the center of its web. For 3,000 years, it had served as the Galactic Council's primary military command center. Its defenses were considered perfect. 20 defense platforms surrounded it, each armed with weapons that could destroy a standard battleship in seconds. 3 rings of sensor arrays detected any approaching vessel within 2 light days. No enemy had ever attacked Starpoint Nexus. None had ever dared. Inside the station's central command, High Commander Zrel of the Drakari paced with satisfaction. Reports continued to flow in from the campaign against the Valoran worlds. The cleansing is 97% complete, reported one of his officers. Only a few isolated outposts remain. And what of the humans? Zrel asked, his scaled skin darkening with pleasure. They have recalled their ships to their home system. They appear to be preparing for a defensive action. Zrel laughed, a harsh sound that made junior officers flinch. As expected, they hide behind their walls while we finish with their friends. Then we will deal with them. A sudden alarm blared through the command center. Red lights flashed as officers rushed to their stations. "What is happening?" Zrel demanded. "Unknown ships detected," came the confused reply. They're already inside our security perimeter." "Impossible," Zrel roared. But the main screen showed the truth. Ships had appeared seemingly from nowhere inside their defensive net. Ships of unfamiliar design, moving with impossible speed. "Identify them," Zrel ordered. Before anyone could answer, all communications in the command center went silent. The view screen switched to show a single human face, Captain Ryu of Earth Defense Force. "This is Captain Ryu to all Earth vessels," she said calmly. "All ships, execute pattern thunderstorm." The transmission cut off, leaving the Drukhari commander staring at a blank screen. Outside in space, 12 Earth ships suddenly changed formation. They moved in ways that defied standard understanding of inertia and propulsion. The Council defense platforms attempted to track them but failed. Their targeting systems had been designed to follow logical, predictable movement patterns. These ships did not move logically. Captain Ryu sat calmly in the command chair of her destroyer, the Swift Justice. The bridge crew worked with practiced precision as the ship spun and dove between enemy fire. "First target neutralize," reported her weapons officer. "Move to secondary targets." Ryu ordered. "Keep the pressure on their command and control systems." The Swift Justice accelerated suddenly, passing so close to a Council defense platform that the enemy gunners couldn't depress their weapons enough to fire. Ryu's ship fired once. The platform's shield generators exploded, leaving it defenseless. Rather than destroying it, the Swift Justice continued on to the next target. Across the battlefield, 11 other Earth ships performed similar maneuvers. They disabled rather than destroyed when possible. This wasn't about annihilation. It was about precision. 200,000 kilometers away, Supreme Commander Huang observed the battle from the flagship Retribution. The massive vessel hung back from the direct engagement, coordinating the entire human fleet's actions across multiple star systems. "Status report," Huang demanded, her voice steady despite the tension of battle. Lieutenant Shen looked up from his station. "Battle Group 1 has neutralized 60% of the Starpoint defenses. Battle Groups 2 through 5 report similar success at their targets. Council fleet in disarray. Their command structure is collapsing." Huang nodded. "And our primary objective?" "Deep scan confirms the target is in the central command tower," another officer reported. "Strike team is ready for insertion." Huang activated the fleet-wide channel. "All units proceed to Phase 2. Remember our purpose here today." In the Swift Justice, Captain Ryu received the order. "Acknowledged, Retribution." Moving to insertion point, her ship broke off from the attack pattern and accelerated toward the central spire of Starpoint Nexus. The station's remaining defenses tried to stop her, but without their coordinated fire control, they posed little threat. "Shields holding at 87%, reported her defensive systems officer. "We can make it." The Swift Justice came to a stop 50 meters from the command tower. A small hatch opened in the ship's hull. 20 soldiers in specialized combat suits launched themselves toward the station. Inside Starpoint Nexus, chaos reigned. Emergency systems failed. Backup power fluctuated. And deep within, High Commander Zrel realized the unthinkable was happening. He was losing. "Evacuate to my personal ship," he ordered his guards. "The station is lost." They rushed through empty corridors toward the private docking bay. Most of the station's 10,000 personnel had already abandoned their posts. "Almost there, Commander," one guard said as they approached the final security door. The door slid open, revealing 20 human soldiers, weapons ready. "High Commander Zrel," said their leader, "you are under arrest for war crimes against the Valoran people." "You dare!" Zrel roared, reaching for his weapon. A single stun shot dropped him to the floor. When Zrel regained consciousness, he found himself in a cell aboard a human ship. The wall became transparent, revealing Supreme Commander Huang standing outside. "You are defeated," Huang said simply. Zrel snarled, his sharp teeth gleaming. "Kill me and be done with it, human. I would have shown you no mercy." "I know," Wang replied. "We have seen what you did to the Valorans. Billions dead because you feared their friendship with us." Zrel laughed bitterly. "Then take your revenge. Is that not why you came? To avenge your weak allies?" Wang's expression remained calm. "No, you will stand trial for your crimes. All evidence will be presented. Justice will be served according to law, not emotion." "Justice?" Zrel seemed genuinely confused. "You had the power to kill me, yet you choose not to use it." "We are not like you," Wang told him. "Justice, not vengeance, guides us. That is why you feared us, isn't it? Not our weapons or our technology, but the idea that there might be another way to exist in this galaxy." Across the star systems, the pattern repeated. Earth ships struck with surgical precision at Council military installations. They disabled rather than destroyed when possible. They captured those responsible rather than executing them. Within 17 hours, the Galactic Council's military capability had been reduced by 70%. Their command structure had collapsed. For the first time in thousands of years, the Council faced a force they could not intimidate or overwhelm. In her private quarters, Commander Wang reviewed the battle reports. The human losses had been minimal. 3 ships damaged, none destroyed. 217 personnel injured, 7 dead. A small price for justice. She opened a channel to Earth. President Moon's face appeared on screen. "Phase 1 complete, Madam President," Wang reported. "The Council's military capability has been neutralized." "Casualties?" Moon asked immediately. "Minimal on our side. We avoided civilian targets on theirs." Moon nodded with approval. "And High Commander Zrel?" "Captured and secured, along with 16 other commanders directly involved in the Valoran genocide." "Good," Moon said quietly. "Now we move to Phase 2. The truth must be known by all species in the galaxy." "It will be," Wang promised. "Justice will be served." The Great Hall on the neutral planet of Horizon was filled to capacity. Representatives from over 200 species had gathered for what many called the most important meeting in galactic history. 1 month had passed since Earth's forces had disabled the Council's military might. Now was the time for truth. Zhu stood on the central platform, his slender Valoran form looking small before the massive gathering. The young scientist had lost everything, yet his voice remained steady as he addressed the assembly. "I present these records not with hate in my heart, but with hope that such horror will never happen again," he said. The hall darkened. Above the platform, a massive display came to life. The evidence you had rescued from the Valoran archives began to play. First came the Council's secret meetings, recorded by Valoran intelligence agents who had managed to place listening devices years before. The representatives watched as the Drakari High Commander Zrel spoke openly about the Valoran problem and the human contamination. 2 young species finding common cause threatens the natural order. Zrel's recorded voice echoed through the hall. "The humans especially must be contained. Their capacity for adaptation makes them dangerous. The Valorans have unwisely shared technology with them. Both problems can be solved with one action." Next came the planning sessions. Cold, detailed discussions of how to bypass Valoran defenses, calculations of casualty rates. Debates not about whether to commit genocide, but how thoroughly to do it. Many in the audience turned away. Some left the hall, unable to watch. But most stayed, forcing themselves to witness what had been done in the name of galactic stability. The final recordings showed the attack itself. Valoran cities burning, civilian evacuation ships being targeted, a civilization being systematically erased. When the presentation ended, silence filled the hall. Then, slowly, representatives began to stand. Species that had feared the Council for millennia now openly showed their support for the victims. Ambassador Kim of Earth rose next. Her small figure stood straight as she addressed the assembly. "We did not want war," she said simply. "It was forced upon us when our friends were slaughtered. Now we propose a new beginning. She activated her own display, showing a different vision of the galaxy. For too long, the Council ruled through fear and control of technology. They decided which species could advance and which must remain limited. They determined who could form alliances and who must remain isolated. The display showed a new structure, a galactic assembly where all species would have representation based on population, not age or military power. Earth does not seek to replace the Council as rulers, Kim continued. We propose instead that no single group should have such power. Each species must be free to develop according to their own values, with basic rights protected for all sentient beings. The debate lasted for days. Some older species, long allies of the Council, resisted change, but the evidence of the Council's crimes could not be denied. In the end, a provisional government was formed. The Galactic Assembly would replace the Council, with representatives from all willing species. Meanwhile, light years away, another kind of healing began. The Valoran homeworld had suffered terribly. Its once beautiful cities lay in ruins. Its forests had burned. But life remained. In the weeks since Earth's forces had secured the system, survey teams had found survivors, a few thousand Valorans who had hidden in deep bunkers or remote areas. Minister O of Earth's Reconstruction Corps walked slowly through what had once been the capital city's central park. Now it was a wasteland of ash and burned tree stumps. Behind him followed a team of Earth's best botanists and environmental engineers. Can it be saved? O asked the lead scientist. Dr. Yun knelt to examine the soil. Yes. The Council's weapons were designed to kill living things, not poison the planet itself. With effort, life can return. O nodded. Then we begin today. The first Earth supply ships landed that afternoon. They brought not weapons or soldiers, but seeds and saplings. Earth botanists had brought plants from their world to grow alongside Valoran flora, species carefully chosen to help restore the damaged ecosystem. Among the survivors was Elder Sung, once a member of the Valoran High Council. At 212 years old, he was now the oldest living member of his species. O found him watching the Earth team's work, his ancient eyes sad but determined. Your people are kind to help us, Sung said. We are allies, O replied simply. Your pain is our pain. Together they walked to where Earth workers had cleared a small area in what would become a memorial garden. At its center, they had prepared a place for the first new planting. News teams broadcast the moment across the galaxy. It was symbolic, everyone knew, but symbols mattered now more than ever. Sung knelt slowly, his aged body moving with difficulty. In his hands he held a small seedling, a Valoran heart tree, the species that had once lined every major street in their cities. This one comes from a seed I carried with me when I fled, Sung explained. It was from the tree that grew outside our assembly hall. With gentle movements, he placed the seedling in the prepared soil. Earth and Valoran hands worked together to secure it in place. Standing again, Sung addressed the cameras and the watching galaxy. From great tragedy comes the opportunity for a better future. The Council ruled through fear. Together, we will build something stronger through cooperation. 6 months later, Captain Baz's ship returned to the Valoran system. She had been on a long mission, searching for any Valoran colonies or outposts that might have survived the Council's attack. Her ship entered orbit above the homeworld, and Ba gasped at what she saw. Green had returned to the planet's surface. Not everywhere. The restoration would take decades. But patches of life now broke the gray of destruction. She landed near the memorial garden, which had grown into a small forest. Walking among the trees, she found Gil, the Valoran engineer who had helped adapt Earth's fleet. Welcome back, Captain, he greeted her. You've been gone long. I found 3 outposts, she said, smiling. Almost 2,000 survivors in total. They're following in my wake, coming home. Gil's eyes widened with joy. So many? We had almost given up hope. Together they walked to the center of the garden, where the first heart tree now stood 2 meters tall, its silver leaves catching the light. Around it, Earth's oak and cherry trees grew alongside Valoran crystal bark and blue willows. "The new Galactic Assembly is meeting next week," Jill said. "They've asked me to attend as part of the Valoran delegation." "You'll represent your people well," Bai assured him. Gil looked around at the recovering landscape, then up at the sky where Earth ships and those of many other species now moved freely. "The Council thought they could destroy us to maintain their power," he said quietly. "Instead, they only proved why that power had to end." In orbit above them, ships arrived from across the galaxy. Not warships now, but vessels bringing delegates to see firsthand the cost of prejudice and the promise of renewal. Among them were species that had never before left their home systems, finally free to join the galactic community as equals. A new age had begun, born from humanity's refusal to abandon their friends and their determination that justice, not vengeance, would guide the way forward. Retriclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.